Hey everyone, it's Jacob here, and I'm fixing to give you a tour of my apartment. So, you got my kitchen area right here, and there's my bookshelf, and you got my babies, my two reptiles, Louie, 22-year-old ball python, and Mushu, a 5-year-old leopard gecko. We'll get to see them later. Of course, I love plants. And here we have my 28-gallon aquarium, stocked with several fish species native to Central and South America. It's a planted aquarium, and I've had it for at least 6 years. It's one of my paintings on the wall. It's a railroad vine. This tree has been in my family since I was at least, I want to say 8 years old. And you can see how tall it is already. I haven't measured it, but I want to say it's going on 8 feet tall. It's called an umbrella tree, and it's native to parts of Australia. And I just love looking at it. When I'm stressed out after a long day of work, I come home and I just love staring at the leaves. There's a whole long story behind it, which I might share later. Some of these vines have been in my family for several years as well. It's hard to tell which ones because I've mixed and matched several times, cutting and splicing vines, but intermixed with these are vines that date way back when I was a little kid, so these plants are also part of my childhood. And this right here is a pineapple, and I grew it myself. Now I might do a separate video later on about my plants and how I got them. Now, one of my favorite things in my house is my beautiful 28-gallon aquarium. It's a boat front aquarium, which means that the front curves out. I have a few different species of fish here. The largest ones are black skirt tetras, which are native to the tropical Americas. Then I have a few glow lights as well, and some neon tetras. And hidden in there somewhere, although I can't seem to find it, he only comes out on occasion, and it is a rubber-lipped pleco. And there he is right there. There's my rubber-lipped pleco. Scientific name, Chitostoma milesi, black skirt tetra. And we have the really nice glow light. And here I have a carpet going of pearlweed. I have some more species in the back. I have, you can probably see them through the top, but I have some Amazon sword plants. Oh, there's one right there. Amazon sword. And I have another one. Used to have some eelgrass there, but they were also consumed by my snails. And then I have a couple of Marino moss balls. As you can see, there's one, and there's one that kind of just rolled back there. These are my two guitars, Ibanez acoustic electric, and a Leopard Tree Canadian guitar, classical, made with Canadian cedar. And here's a painting that I did some time ago. It's a painting of a trumpet vine, which is native to the Texas coast. And they're good for treating jellyfish stings. Then we're going to scroll around on this side. One of my favorite chill out areas is my own personal library. And I have a few oddities on the top. And no, that's not a real human skull, by the way. It's a plastic skull, but I painted it to make it look a little bit more realistic. That is, in fact, a real coyote skull. And there's a long story behind that antler back there. It nearly cost the lives of my parents. I'll probably share that story later on. A few preserved animals. And a cryptid. Where did I get that? Maybe I'll share later on. Every nerd needs a nerd collection. Yes, that is in fact the One Ring. And something in this collection that I personally made. Can you guess what it is? That's right. It's my wind-up walking bomb. Let's see if he still works. Well, that's a little embarrassing. And there we are. He's supposed to walk, but we'll let him do his thing. And we'll scroll around this way to my baby. This literally is my child. This is my son. I've had him for so long. He's a 21-year-old ball python. 22-year-old ball python, and he is currently watching me film him. Isn't he adorable? Now the cool thing about this terrarium is it has a few personal touches. For one thing is the background. See that nice lovely background? I painted it myself. Me being an artist and an art teacher. And it was actually painted on a large piece of cardboard. A cardboard that I got from our local grocery store. Now another thing that I made was this fountain. And it's a large water dish for him, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it in back here so you can see it work. Hopefully it'll start running. And you can see the water start to trickle down. And there it goes. Well, it's actually... There we go. I think the water level's kind of gone down. Sometimes he likes to push it out of the way and it kind of messes up a little bit, but you know, you get a general idea. So that's sculpted using completely reptile-safe materials. And there you have it. And right here is my second baby. And his little tail is sticking out. I'm going to do a video of these guys later on, but there's his booty, and this is Mushu. He is a 5-year-old, I want to say maybe about 4 or 5-year-old leopard gecko. And this whole terrarium is my own personal touch because I made it completely reptile safe. I sculpted the background, have a couple of hiding areas, humidity area. There's this water, and that's a reptile safe mat on the bottom. The only thing I didn't make was the plants. With the lights, of course. Let's see if we can get him on this side. See his cute little adorable head peeking through. Isn't he cute? I should have maybe cleaned the glass before I started filming. But there he is. He loves his habitat. Now these are both rescue reptiles. They were unwanted. And again, I'm going to talk about them later on, but I don't like purchasing them from pet stores, that kind of stuff. These are West Texas arrowheads. And these were all found by my uncle Jesse, who passed away, and he gave me these. He found them himself, and I've put them in this nice Riker mount. This is a unique, interesting thing here because this was attached to my childhood mailbox. This little shield here is actually older than I am. And when they brought me home, the mailbox had this on it. And then right before we moved away, or before my parents moved, I ripped this off the mailbox. Got my trilobite collection. I've also framed these myself. I've also typed up the labels myself, except for this one right here. That one is just a novelty that I bought. One of my favorite ones, believe it or not, is this one. Of course, I purchased that. I did type up the label, but what's interesting about it is that if you look at it really closely, it has a death trail. In other words, you can see its last moments before it died, right there, death trail. Another one of my paintings. There we go. One of my paintings. And we're back to the tree again. We come this way. My entertainment area. And right above it is another one of my paintings. Try to get out of the reflection there. Make of it what you will. Then we're going to go down this way. There's another one of my artworks right here. This is actually a print that I made years ago, and it should have a date on it. Oh, I guess it doesn't. Most likely 2008. And there's a Day of the Dead skull that I painted, and that one I made and painted. And then this is one that I purchased. There's the outside. Of course, my African mask collection. And there's one up there that I made. Grab the bull by the horns. That belonged to my grandfather. And that's what it looks like from this angle. Here in the hallway there's some butterflies that I've mounted myself. These are local butterflies that I found. I didn't kill them myself, I actually found them dead. And a couple more of my artworks. That's a pinhole photograph from a camera that I made out of a cigar box. And there's a wood carving and a painting that I did into my bathroom. I'll just kind of show you around here. I'll come back to that one in a minute. A few things that I like. These are a collection of sea life that I've had since I was little. Some of them are fairly recent. Things that I found on the beach, like this little crab shell. I find plenty of those on the Texas coast. Little dead crab there. And a piece of mushroom coral that I used to carry in my pocket a lot when I was a kid. It's actually broken, but I glued it back together. And then some sand from Galveston, Texas, and Cancun, Mexico. And here's some fish that I bought in a seashell store in Padre Island, and I just put them in a frame like that. I made the frame look like wood. I painted it, and I also painted the background. And there's my Don Quixote. I actually made this spear because when it was purchased at a resale store, it didn't have anything in his hand, so I sculpted this. I made it out of a dowel rod, and then I sculpted the top part right here. So there he is. And my uncle bought me this years ago. He passed away some time ago, so I treasure that fish. And one of my conch shells. Whenever I want to hear the ocean, I just put that up to my ear. And then here's my bedroom. This is where I sleep. I guess I should have had that already. And there's some of my personal artworks on the wall. I'll talk about them individually. I'm obviously a big Lord of the Rings fan. Now I'm going to start off with my sword collection here. These are some, well, this first starting off with this firearm at the bottom. This is an antique 1891 German Mauser. It was most likely used during World War I. And it's in really excellent condition, very old, very good condition. Above that you have a U.S. cavalry saber. I think it's an 1865, I think. I can't remember, but it's a heavy cavalry saber. It's made from carbon steel. And then here you have also a Spanish sword, also made from carbon steel. And one of my favorite sword companies, Windlass Steelcrafts, which is part of museum replicas. I've had that spider for a very long time, and I love it a lot. It's been with me throughout college and everywhere. And there's my long sword. And this one's modeled after an historical find in a river in England, and it's also carbon steel. You probably noticed this when I was panning by, but this is my Hobbit map. Now this Hobbit map, I made it myself, and kind of unique. It does something, and I'm gonna take it off. I just turned on my salt lamp to show you. There's my salt lamp there. There's some coral, but let's go back to this map right here. Now, if you've read the books, I read the books years ago, when I saw the movie, and as you know, here you have some letters that appear under a certain type of moon, and let's see if this happens. Well, will you look at that? Will you look at that? probably looks better when it's dark, but you can see the letters appearing, and then just like that they fade away. Very interesting. How did I do that? It's elfish magic is what it is, or is it dwarfish? I don't know. So there's my map from The Hobbit, and I've weathered it, and you can see the folds are completely movie accurate. Completely movie accurate. And here's one of my artworks that I did. Another one of my artworks, that I did some time ago. Let's let it focus. There you go. It's a very large painting. It's actually a self-portrait. And here I'll leave this here, and you can read that. Let me let it focus. You can pause the screen if you want to, so you can read that. And then this one right here, one that I did a long time ago. This one is kind of interesting, and the reason it's interesting is that I'm going to go ahead and like walk up to it, and well, I'm not sure if it picks up on camera, but it may not. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it on there, and you want to just move your head back and forth on the screen. You can pause it if you want to, but just move your head back and forward, and you'll see that it appears to spin around. It's an optical illusion, and that was done with oil paint years ago. And then here is my zodiac, and I made that around the same time that I did this one, so they're kind of siblings. They've been with me for a very long time, although I am willing to sell them. So if anyone's interested, I would sell them, but they have to be sold together because they go together. I guess I can break them apart. This is a pastel that I did. Let it focus. Let it focus. I probably need to have a spotlight on it or something like that, but this is a pastel that I did some time ago, and it's pretty large. It's kind of hard to see maybe with the reflection, but there it is. It's my interpretation of a mermaid. It's called Sea Spirit. You can see her hair is made of seaweed. Oh, there's a big reflection. You can see her hair is made of seaweed, and she has barnacles and sea stars and stuff going on her. And yep, just having a great time looking at the island. This came straight out of my head, so I didn't have any models or anything like that. I just drew it straight from my head. And then there's my hiking stick that I've had for a long time, and I take that my hiking excursions, and collection of seashells I've had for a very long time. They were brought to me from a couple of my aunts who live in California. They know I like ocean stuff, so they brought me these seashells. They were originally in a mobile just like this. It was hanging on a string. I took them apart when I was a kid because I wanted to play with them, and then not too long ago I kind of restrung them and kind of did my own thing with them. I have several more there in my closet, but I didn't want this thing to get too heavy because it's hanging on a kind of a small hook. Here, this little fish spinny thingy, I'm not sure what you call it. I bought this in Washington, D.C. From a vendor at the Union Station, and you know, it was some time ago. It was years ago, and I can't remember what tropical island these come from, but the lady that was selling it, it was her husband that makes these. And it's tropical wood. I love it very much. I keep it indoors, obviously. I don't want it to dry up, especially in this dry desert heat. It's actually kind of cloudy right now. It might be fixing to rain. But if they were to be put in the wind, let's see if I can. It's hard to hold the camera and blow on it at the same time, but they go round and round and round. And she had different selections. She had birds and different types of birds, hummingbirds, and she had fish and I think turtles and just different other things. This thing right here, I gotta talk about my succulent plant collection. These are African succulents, except for this one, it's from Mexico. And that's from Mexico. I actually made this planter right here. And it's made out of boards on the inside. I've sealed it several times with a waterproof sealant. And then I sculpted this with, I think it was the stuff that you use to repair mortar, like this right here, the mortar in between the bricks, and I sculpted it out of that. Of course, I mixed it with some acrylic paint, and then I dry brushed it to give it that texture of rock, and I have a string right here so it won't fall. These plants were a lot fuller than this, except I was babysitting my sister's dog. I left her in the house by herself to go eat. She's a rescue dog, so she's a little skittish. and she toppled this over. I don't know how she did that. I think she must have jumped onto the windowsill from the bed, and she toppled this planter over. And all my plants were there on the floor, and they were just slaughtered, and I had to buy some new mini blinds, but I don't blame her, poor baby. I still love her. It's just, you know, she's a rescue dog. She didn't want to be left by herself, and so I shouldn't have done that. I thought she would be okay. And these are some African aloes, but I love looking at this nonetheless, and I'm hoping it'll grow back. You can see where the plants were kind of chopped off here. This used to be very long. It used to go all the way, and it would continue. He was huge, but looks like we got some new growth coming in, so maybe it'll hopefully grow back. And then I replanted some of these in here. I like to stick the leaves in the soil when they fall out because they tend to root. Starting up here, my sister actually won this at a silent auction. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. And she only paid $10 for it. She gave it to me. She knows I like art, especially Spanish colonial art. This is, I've looked him up before, and I'll show you right here. Victor Casals. This is Archangel Michael. Apparently he passed away, but he's an artist in New Mexico. He's done a lot of altar pieces and stuff like that. But you can see the very neat Spanish colonial influence here. Hand carved, natural wood, beautiful. I'm not sure what type of wood that is. This cross was broken, but I've actually repaired it. That's probably one of the reasons it was so cheap. It was broken, I repaired it. I also kind of repainted it a little bit gold because the paint was sort of chipped off. This is green calcite, which I purchased at a rock shop in Fort Davis, and I was told that it relieves migraines. I walked in, I was with my sister, and I had a migraine. I love rock shops, but at this point, I was like, oh, I didn't want to be here because I had a migraine. The lady says, oh, you have a migraine, put this on your head. And I'm like, I don't believe that. That's not true. She goes, just try it. And I did, and can you believe it? It took my headache away. And it's supposed to remove pains and headaches and stuff, so I purchased it. And they say that every so often you're supposed to clean it by leaving it on top of some plants for a little bit, leave it on a windowsill. Of course, you don't want to leave crystals like this on a windowsill because the sun will actually bleach it. It'll turn it white. There's my piranha. My sister bought that for me years ago. I've always been into weird stuff like that. And there was a store that was kind of local, and it's no longer there, but anyway, she bought me that. I love my piranha. My geode, that's from Alpine, Texas. They're local West Texas geode. It was cut in half for me. Native American fetish bear. And then here, this is something I purchased on eBay. I actually found this, first of all, let me talk about the glass container it's in. I actually found this at a local flea market. And so I wanted something in there. It was probably meant to hold a doll or something like that, but I wanted something interesting in there, so I ordered this. It's a tropical bat species. It's native to Indonesia, Malaysia. They're not endangered, so there's actually plenty of them. And I ordered it, and I hung it up in there. So I like to tell people that I always keep a bat by my bed at night. In case somebody breaks in, I always keep a bat by my bed. Ha ha ha. Get it? My electric guitar. Alright, that's a Fender. And here's my meteorite collection. And you can pause if you want to read some of these. I'll zoom in on them individually. Let them focus. And these are various meteorites that I've had, that I've collected, and I actually framed them myself. I put them into this shadow box, and I pinned them on there. These two are from Odessa, which is only about 40 miles from where I live. And I've actually changed the date on this one because here it originally had a different date. I think it was 20,000, but I changed it to 50 because they're always finding new evidence to suggest a different date when this meteor crashed. So right now it's said that it's 50,000 years ago when it crashed in Odessa. There was native elephants around at the time. This one is dissected, so I like it. You get to see the real pretty striations and stuff. It's probably nickel and iron, which is what a lot of common meteorites are made of. And of course they are magnetic. And there's my lizard. It's not real, it's made of plastic. I've had that since I was a little kid. And there's a lamp that belonged to my uncle, and it still works and everything. It's really nice. And in case you're wondering down there, that's my guitar amp. That's an antique underneath the TV, and this is also an antique dresser. It goes back to the 1940s. You can see the mirror is kind of beat up. Purchased that at a local flea market. I probably need to dust it. And then this is a kind of a tapestry or a cloth made in Peru. I bought that in Santa Fe, New Mexico years ago. A few fossils I've collected here. You can read that if you want to. And then this one, the only thing, I've actually made the labels myself, so I guess I forgot to put the geological time era. I believe this is from the Eocene epoch, but I need to research that. But this is a Nightia fish. And then here's a little cryptid that I have. You can pause it and read that if you want to, and I'll zoom out. Yeah, that's a cryptid. How did I acquire that? Maybe in a future video I'll talk about it. And there's a little bug that sings to me at night. My cousin bought me that. And my mom bought me that for Christmas one time. Darth Vader. She knows I'm a big Star Wars fan. And there's my Knight Templar sword, because I am in fact a Knight Templar, and that would be my sword. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. This was the tour of my house, of my apartment, and this is Jacob signing out. And once again, remember, peace, love, and happiness. Later.